Chael Sonnen. Thank you for requesting a quote from me, man. It's greatly appreciated. It's surprising me sometimes how much this retirement thing, it surprised me how much everybody cared and how much I'm just overwhelmed by all of the responses and everybody reaching out to me. My phone actually overheated yesterday because there was so many notifications going off. I got an old ass iPhone too. I don't really have a quote, man, but I just want to thank the UFC for everything that they've done, Dana White, Sean Shelby, and everyone for building an amazing brand for me to be a part of, and a platform for me to build my brand and do some great things and put myself out there and express my art the best that I can. But for now, it's just a new season in my life. I can, enjoy some things that I just didn't get a chance to enjoy so much, like being at my daughter's soccer game. I'm here, not limping, no black eyes. Look, see, I'm clean, happy, and fresh, recovered. So it's a great thing. And like I said, it's just a new season of my life. So now my future is going to be dedicated to serving others, giving back to the community, helping other martial artists, whether it's fighters or regular people, build up their lives and serve these people. And it's a beautiful thing, man, and I love it. So thank you, everybody, for all the support. Thank you, Chael Sonnen, for reaching out. And you're lucky we never fought, bro.
The best podcast guest I have ever had is Matt Brown. Does that surprise you? Now, I don't do a lot of guests here. In fact, if you're rolling with me and you're a loyal follower, I appreciate that a lot. But you might have said, Chael, guest, you never do guests. I used to. When I was getting into this, I did not know podcast was one word. But nobody did. There was no such thing. No one knew what a podcast was. Like, if you wanted to hear something, you went to the radio. And if you wanted to hear a specific genre, you could even pay for a monthly subscription and then have that specific radio. What was it called? FM, something like this, XXM radio. Anyway, my point was how fast the world has changed. And I used to always have guests. And then you would try to leverage them. You'd have a guest on and then hope that they would go on something at that time called Twitter and share and expand your show and expand your audience, right? I mean, it's not like this terribly clever idea and model, but it's still what it was, and I was adhering to it. I had Matt Brown. I thought, what am I going to talk to this guy? Man, Matt Brown, I've seen his interviews. This guy is as tough as an old leather boot, but he doesn't want to tell you about it. He pops on the air. It was the best guest I've ever had. I did that with guests every single week, 3 times a week, for years, before I went to where we've got this more of a one-way monologue. And he was still the best I had ever had. His opinion, the way he looked at it, because the story of Matt Brown, I got through The Ultimate Fighter, and I got told to me through the cameras and through Forrest Griffin. The Matt Brown story, as it ties into Forrest Griffin, is very relevant that you know, because Forrest is the first person to ever believe in Matt Brown. And I'm not sure I have to asterisk that and say, well, in this sport. I'm not sure of that. Forrest Griffin believed in Matt a lot, and Matt did not win The Ultimate Fighter. And Forrest Griffin continued to believe in Matt and continued to work with him. And it's a relevant thing. The Ultimate Fighter, and I have to start Matt Brown's career with this because that's how we all got introduced to him. Okay? And one thing about The Ultimate Fighter, it used to be called a reality show. And for the life of me, I don't know why. Like, I don't know what definition had to be met to fall into that category. The reality is the Super Bowl is a show. And I only share that because what The Ultimate Fighter is it's the toughest tournament in all of sports, and it's documented. That's what it truly is. And one thing about that, when you're a coach on The Ultimate Fighter, when one of your athletes is eliminated, right, just means he's beat. It doesn't matter if it's a preliminary round, the quarterfinal round, a semifinal round. Once he's beat, there is now no point and or an incentive for a coach to continue to work with and grow that guy. You've got to work with and grow the guys that you have. And I don't like that. I didn't follow that philosophy. I don't like that philosophy. I have seen that with my own eyes. I have been on teams where there's an elimination process, whether that was you try to make the varsity spot or college terms, you've got what's called the postseason. And therefore, if a guy was not a varsity guy, I've seen him get brushed. If a guy didn't make it to the postseason, I've seen him get brushed. I just don't like it. I don't like it myself. I do understand it, but my mentality defaults to more of a little league type mentality where everybody that comes, we're going to make them the best them that they could be. Okay, you can agree with that or not. It's a relevant piece because Forrest Griffin never quit working with Matt Brown, and he never quit talking about him. And that was another part that was very interesting for me, the viewer. Well, why are you talking about a guy that's been eliminated? He's not going to get any airtime. Why are you, Forrest Griffin, staying late after workouts to work with a guy who will not get any more airtime and he can't be part of this tournament? And it's a very small observation, but it stayed with me. So, okay. Somewhere along the way, Matt Brown becomes all of your guys' favorite fighter. Matt Brown is Justin Gaethje before Justin Gaethje was Justin Gaethje. And he's having these knockdown dragouts, and all of a sudden you're putting in the same category, whether it's Nick Diaz, whether it's Carlos Condit, whether it's Robbie Lawler, whether it's who should get to Georges St-Pierre, whether it's John Fitch. Feel free to throw me in Rory McDonald. Feel free to throw me any big name of that era you want. There is no big name of that era where you wouldn't assimilate Matt Brown. And what an interesting thing, considering he not only came through that era. I mean, Forrest himself, who was a leader of that era, went on to be a world champion. Went on to be a full-time employee of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Went on to be a Hall of Famer. Forrest retired a period of time ago. Matt Brown retired 4 days ago. My point being, we're talking about an era that he came through. He transcended 2, and if you really get a calendar out, 3 different eras. That, in and of itself, is quite an achievement. Now, I give you all of this backstory on Matt because there was a different point in his career. So I call that the Ultimate Fighter and the Forrest Griffin. I tie that into one group. Matt then had to get out on his own, just kind of return home. And now he's got to deal with the fame. Now he's got a little bit of money he's got to deal with. He was very open on the Ultimate Fighter to share certain distractions that had got the better of him at times. And I just tell you that because he goes on and has a great career. But when he made his run, his absolute run, where you go, my goodness, who is this? This is a whole other guy, right? Like, he was always a dirty, filthy Muay Thai fighter. Always. He would get in there and be as grimy as anybody. Like, wishing that headbutts were legal and definitely going to find a way to LB you just because it's going to hurt. He was always that guy. But when his career started to turn, it involved Mark Coleman and it involved the Ohio State wrestling room. I can't do you a lot better than that. It's never fully been told to us. Like, Mark Coleman, who's from Ohio State and represented with the help of the late, great Kevin Randleman, R.I.P., the Hammer House. So we all were like kind of led to believe that there's a heavy bag and a scheduled time in the Ohio State room that Coach Ryan is letting these Hammer House guys come in. But that's never actually been explained to us. We don't actually know. We just know that Brown was getting workouts in the form of wrestling to the highest levels. Now, he'd already proven a dirty, gritty cage fighter, which came from being a dirty, gritty Muay Thai fighter, but all of a sudden he adds this wrestling element. And I have long tried to explain to you all, one of the reasons that wrestling does so well, it is not because of the takedown or even the power of the takedown. It's the things that are built around. It will give you a conditioning. It will give you a sharpness that you cannot get anywhere else. There's no dojo or no gym for MMA that you can go to get that wrestling, lactic acid, grinding cardio. Even though Matt Brown did not, when he made his turn, he didn't go out and start taking people down. He did not even become the guy that got above the bottom or defended takedowns a whole lot better. He became a guy that could do that Muay Thai. He could drop those elbows and give you those knees for a full 15 minutes and up to 25 on certain occasions. And it greatly changed his career. And I have to look at both of those. Like, I will always think of Forrest Griffin when I think of Matt Brown. I'll always think of Mark Coleman when I think of Matt Brown. And you talk about people that believed in him, got to insert Dana White, and then you all started to believe in him as well. And Matt Brown announced his retirement. And he goes into such a rare category. George St. Pierre got to go out the way that you would want. Lennox Lewis got to go out the way that you would want. Feel free, guys. Throw me some names of other guys that went out on top. And even if you can't, even if you succeed, you give me a name or two, okay, great, we'll add Matt Brown. So now we've got him in the same category as George St. Pierre and Lennox Lewis, right? Did you ever expect that from a guy that used to have a mouthful of tobacco and got sent off the Ultimate Fighter in an early round? Not for nothing. This has been an amazing career. What an amazing career to Matt Brown. And I prefaced all this by telling you what a great guest he was when he came on my podcast. I tell you that because he has a podcast now. And it's great, much like him. I just wanted to give a shout out. I wanted to thank Matt Brown for the memories. I love that he was at a soccer's game. I love that he took time to speak to all of us while he's got his daughter playing soccer in the background. Wish him the best. We'll miss him in the ring. But there's still going to be plenty of Matt Brown out there. Just got to go find him.